Hey, what's up, guys? Christian here. I wanted to take a few minutes to give an update and talk about a few things concerning my 2D animated fantasy series, Bogatyr. So here's where we are currently at with pre-production. We are about 66% of the way done with storyboarding, so that part is definitely coming along and we're making progress. We're hoping to finish out sometime within the next couple months or so, then we can move on to production. There's been a few things that I've shared concerning character designs and such. Some of that will be changing sort of as we go along. As I mentioned before, a big part of that is getting the characters to look a certain way because we have to animate them and simplify the designs a little bit. As of now, Sylvia is only the really one that's finalized, and most of the monsters are as well. So it's just a matter of getting to that part and then, getting those characters simplified so we can move on to the next thing, all leading up to production and then the ultimate creation of Bogatyr. But in today's video, I want to take a second and just talk about what I've learned throughout this whole process of, building Bogatyr and creating an animated fantasy series. Because when I first got into this, it definitely is a lot harder than I expected it to be, and it was more challenging. But I've learned a lot along the way, and I've met a lot of cool people as well. The first thing I want to cover is finding talent. That's one of the most difficult subjects to sort of cover in all of this. I've seen several people online talk about this sort of thing where they're looking for animators or looking for character designers. They always want people that are willing to work for free. And if you can work out a deal with someone where they're willing to collaborate and the hopes of it leading to some sort of future collaboration with more money and whatnot, then that's great if that works for you. And that's how you sort of have things lined out. But I think one option that people overlook a lot of times is hiring freelancers. That's one thing that's really helped me build Bogatyr over the past year is going on Upwork, Fiverr, discovering people through YouTube and Instagram. There's various routes you can take with all of this. That's actually where I've met most of my crew so far, my character designers, background artists, storyboard artists, writers, and they've come from all different corners of the world, which has been great to see so many people involved in this and making it what it is. And, having so many hands from different cultures and walks of life involved in Bogatyr. One thing I would advise though is sort of being aware of cultural disconnects. Sort of, certain parts of the world and different cultures do things differently than maybe how you do in your country. Maybe they conduct business differently. And sometimes there are language barriers. And even with Google Translate, that can still be a thing. So it's definitely something to take into consideration with all of that. That leads us to our next thing, cold calling. And cold calling is one of those things that if you tried any type of business, you've definitely done it before. And there's obviously pros and cons to it. It can be really beneficial. Sometimes it doesn't work out. More often than not, it doesn't work out. And you do have to learn to work through that a lot of times. One thing you have to remember about cold calling is that these people don't know who you are and they have no desire to talk to you. They weren't seeking you out, so they owe you nothing. So you have to keep that in mind when you're trying to contact these people and you're hoping that they will respond. And if you get lucky, then you move on with the process and try to make that connection and hopefully develop some kind of working relationship there. And a big part of that is also remembering not to be vague. You want to know exactly what it is you're wanting from this person. If you reach out to someone that's a known character designer, you reach out to them with intentions of them designing one of your characters. You reach out to a known storyboard artist. That's where you want to look to build a relationship with them to help you storyboard. Sort of like do some research on people and try to learn about them. You want to know what you're asking. You don't want to approach with the idea, hey, can you help me build my series or build my show? And anything along the lines of that. No, you want to break down your job specifically and know why you're reaching out to this person. And not everyone will respond either. That's another big part of it. And you just have to learn to accept that so that you can move on to the next person. Like I said earlier, these people don't know you. They don't know that you're planning to contact them. They might not be looking for work right now. They may have other jobs that they're working on or simply don't have the time. And, as a recruiter, you can't take that personally. You just have to accept it and move on to the next person and eventually hope that you find someone. And when you are meeting with these people, if you get lucky enough to talk to them, whether they do end up working with you or not, there's usually always some type of knowledge that you can sort of get out of the conversation. Everybody has something to offer. Sometimes it's knowledge, sometimes it's other contacts they may know, sometimes it's resources. It's you always have to look for those sorts of things whenever you're communicating with people. And the last thing that I want to touch up on real quick is pipeline development. This is where a lot of people struggle, saying they don't have the right tools or they can't afford these expensive subscriptions. And trust me, I get it. I'm dealing with the same thing while trying to build Bogatyr. But also, one thing you have to remember is where there's a will, there is a way. There are several free options out on the internet that you can use. You have OpenTunes, Blender, Unreal Engine. All of these are free and open source. I use Blender all the time in my creations. And you definitely don't want to limit yourself by saying there's certain softwares that you can't afford. There's always usually some kind of workaround. I will say one thing that's worked for me so far is simply the fact of continuing to move forward with production on Bogatyr. There have been several times I wasn't sure what to do or how to approach a situation, but through research and, just constant moving forward, I was able to figure something out and never be afraid to ask questions and reach out to people. There's a number of people that have been extremely helpful on the way, and I'm hoping to bring some of them on here to talk about the journey and sort of how we've done things to get to this point that we've been to so far. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say for today. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe also. And also I noticed we're at about 68 subscribers at the moment. The goal is to hit 100 so far. So thanks to everybody that subscribed so far. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you could share this video, we can get more eyes on Bogatyr and then end up turning it into the animated series that we know it can be. And as always, if you all have any questions, post them down in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Okay, see you guys later.